Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are watching a Dyer-Situation. Blumhouse. Blumhouse! Alright, so we're getting the very first Blumhouse movie of the year. First of many. Blumhouse presents The Darkness, which has to be the most generic name they've come up with so far. I mean, there was Sinister, and there was, let's see, Paranormal Activity, which when you think about it isn't a very descriptive name, just Paranormal Activity. And, let's see, The Gift. Man, these movies are so forgettable. What else? Insidious. Insidious doesn't even describe it very well. They just come up with, like, incredibly generic names to give their incredibly generic movies. It's pretty funny. So from what I can gather, just from reading, like, a short, basic description on IMDb, is that this movie is about an evil ghost that follows people home from the Grand Canyon. Spooky. I'm sure this will be hilarious. No, it's probably not. I'm sure this will be very boring because it's incredibly predictable and it's full of jump scares and it's fucking Blumhouse. Yeah, I'm gonna rattle off some new Blumhouse names. What will the upcoming movies be called? Night. The Emptiness. Spooky Curtains. Computer that people dark. Yeah, that's a few years in the future when they take a weird turn. Yeah, this is going to suck ass. Let's see it. Okay. That was stupid. And it was also boring. It was boring and stupid. It is every Blumhouse movie ever made. What really pisses me off about this one is that it had a pretty promising opening scene. I mean, it's an unusual setting for a Blumhouse film. Usually they just open up straight in the family house, the incredibly perfect-looking family house, and then they're just discussing about how they recently moved in there or something. And then some kid finds, like, a hole and there's, like, a monster in it or something. I don't know. But this, like, it's... Of course, it opens up in the Grand Canyon because that's where the ghost comes from. But it's kind of stylized and, like, the camera moves slightly in ways it's kind of hard to describe. And the way everyone's talking and the way, like, the lighting is, it looks cool. And it looks like, wow, an actual horror movie or something. And then, of course, like, the kid discovers the rocks and stuff, and it's actually, like, kind of full of dread and interesting, and, you know, makes me wonder, wow, you know, this could be a pretty good film. And then they all get back home to the incredibly perfect-looking house. And the kid starts talking to an imaginary friend called Jenny or something. And the parents don't believe him. And then spooky things happen, like things moving across the table and faucets turning on. Jesus frickin' Christ! It's the Poltergeist! Again! What is with Blumhouse and freaking Poltergeist? Why do you have to keep on ripping it off all the frickin' time? What is with you and kids saying, well, look, it's Mr. Boogie, or something? Jesus Christ. I remember, like, there was one time when I was sitting in a theater back when I was still watching trailers. I probably mentioned this before, but I saw 3 trailers in a row. All of them Blumhouse, I think, where the premise was some kids in a perfect-looking home have discovered something dark and evil, and the family is plagued by the evil. Is Blumhouse completely unable to think of anything else? That's the premise of Paranormal Activity. That's the premise of Insidious. That's the premise of Sinister, of... I forget if they're involved in the Poltergeist remake, but I'm counting it anyway. That's the premise of, like, most of their movies. And it's so lame. It almost makes you wish for the subtle cleverness of The Purge. Jeez. Hell, even that's about an ordinary-looking family thrust into something evil, so... You know, I think the furthest they've gone is, like, the Gallows. But even then, they didn't make it. They just dumped money into somebody else's project. So... And the Gallows was terrible for different reasons. So yeah. Incredibly predictable and incredibly boring because of that. Hell, you know, these movies are usually only good for really lame jump scares. The movie even fails at that. They seem like they forget to put in the noise sometimes. How do you screw up a jump scare? Jump scares are easy. Easy. Like, oh, watch this, watch this. I'm gonna jump scare. Whoa, look, I just jump scared. Watch me do it again. Whoa! Like, if you weren't expecting that, it could totally, like, freak you out. I mean, like, if I were just in the middle of a sentence and I suddenly went... It would freak you out, right? It's so scary. But they don't even do it. There's, like, moments where something spooky quickly runs on screen, and they forget to add the noise. And so it's just some dude in a cloak running across screen, and it looks stupid. Jesus. This movie is so lazy and incompetent. Yeah. Nothing interesting... Nothing even particularly interesting about the demon ghost things attacking them this time. I mean, some sort of Native American evil spirits that manifest as, like, a set of 5 animals. Collect them all. And the ending is really, really terrible and stupid. I mean... premise doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And as I was saying, it's predictable, right? So, of course, after a whole bunch of terrible spooky things are happening, one of the parents locks onto, for some reason, onto the idea that it has to be a paranormal thing, and then starts typing random phrases into Google, which leads her to the exact right page for all the information she needs. Like, she was typing things like, weird smells, or something. And it took her to the page on the evil demons she was looking for. I can't make this up if I tried. This is so stupid. And the funny thing was, she was typing multiple things into Google. Like, she would type, evil Grand Canyon ghosts, and, no, I have to be, she was less specific than that. What would she type? Faucets turning on. Sun sets fires. And when she types it in, she clicks on a link, and it takes her to a certain page on the non-Native Americans. So she goes to a different search, types in a different thing. It goes to the exact same page. She does another search, does a different thing, and goes back to the exact same page. It's like she's trying to find more, sources, but the internet in Blumhouse movies refuses to let you go anywhere besides the page that gives you the exact exposition you need. Oh man, this just makes Unfriended even funnier in retrospect. All the stuff that happened in that movie, that's just destined. That's just Blumhouse rules. They can't get away from it. Oh man. Yeah, so usually in all the Blumhouse movies, they have to hire either a really knowledgeable old person who knows everything about the particular subject for an unexplained reason, or the internet, and they use the internet and an old person who knows everything for some unexplained reason. And jeez. Why in these movies do they even bother getting, an Exorcist type person to try and get rid of the spirits from the house? Because that's what happens in this. When in any movie, I'm asking you, point out one single movie where that worked. The most famous one of them all, The Exorcist, spoilers, it didn't work. I can't think of a single movie where somebody hires an exorcist or a demonizer or a ghost catcher and it actually works. Without, everyone dying. Except for, maybe Insidious, but that movie is so, convoluted that I'm not even sure that is what happened. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. So, these demon things, right? So they have a little lore thing behind them. These were the forest gods of a group of people who had a civilization in the Grand Canyon that was swallowed up by a volcano. Suspend your disbelief. I know there's no volcanoes in the Grand Canyon, but suspend your disbelief anyway. So yeah, they've gods, but the gods turned evil when the people stopped being nice or something. So they turned evil and they started harassing kids. I think that's what they said. They started harassing kids and stuff, so they trapped them inside of rocks and then left them in a cave and then died horribly. Okay, so that's the premise. Right, and of course the family finds them, sets them free, and chaos happens, right? Well, the thing is, in the expositional video that makes no sense, explaining this whole thing, it said, people who have claimed to find the stones in the past have run into terrible things happening, like their entire families dying and their houses being destroyed. Other people have found these? They didn't say there was more than one set. There seemed to just be the one. And when the kid found them, they were covered in dust and stuff like they'd been left alone for 1,000 years or something. What? So, either all those people that they were mentioning were just complete coincidences from liars? Or do these things put themselves back into the cave when they're done? Is that what happens? That's so stupid. That honestly makes Mr. Boogie from Sinister sound normal. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. There's literally no other explanation. They had to have put themselves back and put dust on them. I mean, it's not like all those other families vanquished them and stuff, because their houses got freaking destroyed and their families are dead. So how did they do that? Plus, I thought their goals, like as established in the movie, are like to bring darkness and chaos to the world. I don't know. It was a really, really poorly done exposition dumped by the super knowledgeable Exorcist lady who was like, "The blood of the innocent, eh? Rivers of blood, eh? Oh, I don't think you're a good guy." No, jeez. Yeah, this is really stupid. Probably the only good thing about this movie is that now all the actors in it have just gotten their Bacon number bumped all the way up to 1. That's a great honor. Because Kevin Bacon starred in this movie. He was okay. The movie was terrible. Not his fault. So really, that's about it for the whole thing. The only extra thing I'd like to point out is that at a couple instances in the film, there were these really weird moments in them. And I want to be careful with this, but I've talked about God's Not Dead too, so you've seen like the extremes of this stuff. But this is something I'm wondering. Like, there's this one scene where their house is totally haunted, so they actually do like a semi-smart thing and just go to a hotel for a night. And while they're in there, like, the mom decides to search for a Bible and they don't find one, and he says, "Yeah, they got rid of all the Bibles in the hotels. Said we gotta be more accepting of all races." And they like laughed, and I was like, okay. I thought that was just like a one-off line because it didn't seem to have much to do with the situation. But then later, when the Exorcist people were in there, they said, "Do you believe in a higher power?" And I said, "No, not really." And they said, "Well, you should probably start." It was baffling to me because were they suggesting that if, like, with that scene and this scene, that if they were Christians, that they might have not gotten the evil demons that resulted from their autistic son picking up some rocks? I don't see how that would work. Or are they suggesting that the demons might leave them alone easier if they were? Like, in the movie, it doesn't make much sense. These aren't, like, Christian demons. These are, like, Native American ones. They have no correlation. And, like, part of the Exorcist lady's set was, like, this big cross, and he said, "Won't you need that?" And he said, "It won't work in this house." Like, what is this some sort of weird Fox News input going on? What's happening? It has very little to do with what was going on in that movie, and it was kind of confusing. Like, is that what the movie's suggesting? That, like, we'd be safe from all forms of spooky CGI demonic possession if we were more devout Christians? It's odd. And don't get me wrong, I'd feel just as confused as if they, like, did the exact opposite, where there was just a line where he said, "Do you believe in a higher power?" And he said, "Well, yes, I do." And she said, "Well, you should probably stop right about now." I'd be just as confused. I would not see any correlation between those two things. This does not seem like a situation where being one way or the other would really help with anything. I'm pretty sure the only religion that might have helped is the religion of those Native American people who worshipped them and probably got good stuff for a while. So, yeah, that was a weird moment. Moments. I don't know. But movie doesn't just suck because of that. The movie sucks because of it's boring and stupid. That's all wafer. There you go. It's boring and stupid. I'm glad I said that from the start. You just watch me elaborate on how it is boring and stupid. So yeah, and until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dire Situation.